Welcome to the Man of Recaps. This is Ted Lasso Season 3. Ted Lasso is back, the American football coach coaching football in England, which of course over there is the totally different sport Americans know as soccer. In Season 2, with the power of Ted's positive attitude, he led AFC Richmond out of relegation back to the Premier League. But of course they're now the worst team in the Premier League, so they're mostly expected to lose. The team's former kitman turned mastermind tactician, Nathan Shelley, Nate the Great, now known as the Wonder Kid. He left on bad terms last season, the fame getting to his head, he's become kind of a dick. Now he's coaching their rival team, owned by Rebecca's ex-husband Rupert, who's become Nate's new douchebag mentor. The show's main couple, Roy Kent and Keeley, have broken up this season for no good reason. Roy's self-sabotaging. Keeley's busy being the boss of her own new PR firm, where she has to deal with her downer finance officer, Barbara. When Keeley runs into one of her old model friends, she gives her a job, but turns out she's terrible, and Keeley has to fire her, and she does not take it well. Our favorite former reporter, Trent Crimm of The Independent, is writing a book on Richmond this season, so he hangs around more, joins the main crew. Now there's a big shakeup in the football world when legendary player Zava wants to come to England. Rebecca Welton wants to recruit him for Richmond, but it looks like Rupert got to him first. So Rebecca corners him in the bathroom like, hey, you can play for a good team, of course you'll win. If you want to prove you're the best, come play for a bad team and see if you can win anyway. And it works. Zava's joining Richmond. He's a funny character, but he really is that good. Richmond goes on a win streak. But not all the players are happy with Zava taking the spotlight. Their former best player, Jamie Tartt, thinks he could be that good too. So his old rival turned mentor, Roy Kent's like, alright kid, I'll train ya, starts waking him up early to get in extra workouts. Most of the big players get their own side stories, like Sam Obisanya opens a Nigerian restaurant, but one day he stands up for justice on social media, and of course a lot of trolls don't like that, and they trash the restaurant, but then it's heartwarming as the whole team pitches in to fix it. One player, Colin, turns out is gay, and he's afraid if he tells his teammates they won't accept him. But Trent Crimm turns out is gay too, gives him some advice, and when he does come out to the team, it's heartwarming as of course they accept him. The team's goalie, the Canadian Zorro, keeps correcting everyone, it's pronounced Zorro, but when Zava tells him he can be whoever he wants, he changes his name to Van Dam. Later, his teammate, Danny Rojas, takes the Canada-Mexico game too seriously and kicks the ball right in his face. After that, he has to wear a protective mask, but Danny feels bad and gets him a cool black mask, just like the one famously worn by the swashbuckler Zorro, and so Zorro starts going by Zorro and has reached his final form. Team owner Rebecca Welton went to see a psychic who predicted some weird stuff, but it starts happening like the Green Matchbook. She also predicts Rebecca will have a family, and Rebecca always wanted kids, so she goes to a fertility clinic, but turns out no, she's too old. But now it's football time as the team faces their biggest rival, led by their old friend Nate. And the Wonder Kid is the master of tactics, knows how to nullify the Zava advantage. So at halftime, they show the security footage of Nate ripping up their Believe sign, which gets them riled up, but it riles them up a bit too much, and they end up blowing the game. After this, Richmond goes on a losing streak, and Zava's not having fun anymore. He decides to retire and pursue his real passion of his avocado farm. So Coach Lasso brings down the Believe sign and tears it up even more. Look guys, this was just a sign. The real belief is inside you all along. But belief on its own isn't enough. You also need a strategy, and all season long the team's been struggling to find a good formation. In Amsterdam, they're looking for inspiration, so Coach Beard brews them up some mushroom tea to open their minds. And Ted's maybe down to try some hallucinogens, but he really still doesn't like tea. Instead, he goes to the American-themed restaurant where they're playing an old basketball game, and Ted has a barbecue sauce-induced epiphany to try basketball free-flowing formations in soccer. Of course, this isn't a new idea. It was a popular technique in the 70s called total football. And so the team ties their willies together to learn how to move around in sync. And the strategy finally comes together when Jamie Tartt realizes as the best player, he shouldn't be in the front, he should be in the middle. And now total football's really cooking, and Richmond's on another win streak. The biggest game for Jamie Tartt is at his former team, Man City, where last season he had a really bad run-in with his father. But Coach Lasso gives him a pep talk. Jamie, maybe you gotta forgive your dad, not for him, but for yourself. And it works. Jamie Tartt's become a superstar and a real good person compared to the jerk he started as in season 1. Now let's check in on romance arcs. Once a season, Ted Lasso hooks up with Rebecca's friend, Sassy. This time he's like, hey, should we date? But she's not interested. She's like, yo, we're both a mess. And yeah, Ted is still processing his ex-marriage. One day he calls home and finds out his wife is seeing someone seriously. But not just anyone, Dr. Jacob, their marriage counselor, which is, a little unethical. This messes Ted up a bit, but eventually he accepts that they're happy, and he focuses on his relationship with his son. Keeley meets her company's investor, Jack, who turns out is a young woman like herself, and they get along great, in fact, real great. These two start dating, and it's a fantastic start to a new relationship. But there's a big leak of celebrity nude photos, and Keeley's one of them, a video she sent an ex-boyfriend. Jack has her PR people write Keeley an apology, but Keeley's like, wait, why should I apologize? And they can't see eye to eye on this, so they break up. And Jack, unfortunately, defunds Keeley's company. Luckily, Keeley's other friend, Rebecca, is also rich and invests instead. Rebecca, in Amsterdam, made the classic tourist mistake of walking on the bike lane and got knocked off the bridge. Luckily, Luckily, there's a hot Dutchman nearby to take her onto his houseboat and dry her clothes, and these two have a magical evening together where it's like, well, probably never see you again. Nathan Shelley, now kind of famous, is able to date supermodels, but supermodels aren't really into the real nerdy Nate. The girl Nate really likes is Jade, the hostess at his favorite Greek restaurant, and she is into the real nerdy Nate. Eventually, he gets the courage to ask her out, and these two become a real cute couple. But his new mentor, Rupert, doesn't approve. He's like, yo, Nate, all cool dudes cheat on their girlfriends, and Nate realizes this isn't who he wants to be. So Nate quits the team and starts waiting tables, but pretty soon he gets a visit from Coach Beard, who gives a long story about how Ted Lasso forgave him once, and so now he's willing to forgive Nate. And Nate gives Ted his own big apology, and so the team forgives him with only mild punishment. And so, as we reach the end of the season, Rebecca normally has a big truth bomb about how she was sabotaging the team to get back at her ex. But this season, nah, everything's good. She's happy just being the better person. But it's Ted Lasso himself who has some bad news. He's leaving after the season, going home to spend more time with his son. And so on Ted's last day of practice, the team does an adorable goodbye song from The Sound of Music. And then another heartwarming surprise, they all kept a piece of the Believe poster and put it back together. In the final game, Richmond's been doing so well, they've got a chance to finish first in the league. It comes down to the final play, where they go for one of Nate's the Great's old strategies, use Jamie Tartt as a distraction to pass to an open player, and oh, Richmond wins! Yes, they've done it! Underdog story from bottom of the league to number 1. Well, actually, they finished second in the league because of how English football works. But it's still triumphant, a beautiful moment, and the team gathers around Coach Lasso as he does the dance, the same one that made him famous in season 1, so the show's come full circle. But now Ted Lasso's job here is done. Like Mary Poppins, he flies off after helping everyone else become a better person. His best friend Coach Beard, though, is not coming with. Remember, he's fallen in love with his girlfriend here, Jane. Unfortunately, they already sealed the airplane doors, but Coach Beard fakes a medical emergency to get out of there and has his own weird wedding. Then Rebecca has a run-in with a random little girl who turns out is the daughter of hot Dutch pilot guy from her magical night together, and it looks like Rebecca will have a happy family. Roy Kent has become a much better man and apologizes to Keeley, but Jamie Tartt has also become a much better man, and he and Keeley start talking too. And the former rivals, Roy and Jamie, have become best friends themselves, but they do beat each other up over who gets to be with Keeley. Of course, Keeley leaves them both hanging. So Roy Kent becomes the new head coach, and the Richmond Dream Team is still here, just without Ted, but he's always in their hearts. Indeed, Trent Crimm called his book The Lasso Way, but Ted was like, yo, it wasn't about me, so he renames it just The Richmond Way. And so Ted Lasso's back in America, where he can be a good father to his son. In fact, he starts coaching his little league soccer team, and that's where Ted Lasso comes to an end. If you liked this recap, hit that subscribe button for more of the best recaps of TV and movies.